Hi everyone, I'm super excited to host Anton Glance, co-founder and CTO of Buildroid.ai. Thanks a lot for being on the show.
Thank you for hosting me.
I was checking out your journey and looks like you've done many entrepreneurial pursuits before. Maybe take us back to the college days and if you trace back your career, what would be the highlights of your career?
So you tap into the very deep, sensitive things. So how it's all started. Yeah, I always like wonder how the world works. So it was never like me seeing one thing and just like okay, so like the utility of that thing is like cutting things or making things or whatever. I was always wanted to dive deeper and understand like how things are made. So I was like very passionate about like the design, the architecture. So like in all forms, it's not just like the high tech and electronics or whatever. So like any ordinary thing, including the houses we live and so the cars we drive. So everything like got me interested into dive deeper. So how things are made. And obviously during my university like time, so very early, so even before the graduation, I started like making different small projects. So the first thing that I think so that defined my like further journey was when we were participating with the European Space Agency in a joint university of a project. And we designed a navigation system that worked like physically. I designed it, so like build a PTB board. So so my friend, he to build the firmware, and we set up it in an actual aircraft, so in a spaceship, and it went into the space, did some mission, and went back. And I was remember, so I was sitting looking at that board, so came into the space, thinking like, okay, so that's cool. So because if I maybe not be able to go to the space, but my mind and my like intentions, so my product can go way below, so way above, so that I'm my physical presence. That's kind of what defined my like initial entrepreneurial journey. So that I want to create products for people, so that go like above and beyond, so to where I am. So that's where like the inspiration so come from.
Got it. What were some ideas which you tinkered, didn't work out as you planned?
Many like during when I set up my first company. So we were like as a design agency. So we like consumer electronic or electronic design shop. So that means like imagine so you are the client, so you have some idea. I want my light blink every time somebody say hi to me or something like that. So, and you come to me as a design agency and say like, so I want to do like that. So we design the board, the logic, so the prototype, the everything and implementation, and that's how we operate it. Yeah, and then I quickly realized that so it's not like very inspiring when somebody else coming with their ideas and I just deliver them, because I had so many ideas how to improve that idea, so many ideas how to like improve the world around us. Yeah, and then I decided to step into the more like startup founder, so where I deliver or pursue my ideas. And during the first maybe 3 years, we tried maybe 18 of the different ideas, different
Wow.
devices, and only three of them kind of took off. So there was the project so that we developed with the government, so that provided the information at the bus stops when the next bus will come. So currently, so at the 2026, it's a common technology. So, but back then, so 30 years before, so like 25, so there was nothing like that. So we built the entire system, we deployed, and that was like very cool. So because the entire city was kind of us, we were like the so the Gotham city. We owned the city by our technology. So another one, so we developed the water leakage detection system. It's kind of like a piece of the smart home. So that was my like 2012 or 2010, something like that. So before the IoT took off, so we did design it. So we shipped over 5,000 units. That was a quite a good move. And there was like another one, so I don't remember. So but we built many projects. So that particular the water leakage system defined the next step, so that I got interested in a smart home technology and IoT in general. So we start building so the like more wireless connected technologies. So when the Like you come in, the sensor triggers, so the lights comes on, and so all these things that we currently know as a smart home, like the Apple HomeKit or whatever. So with that one, I firstly encounter the idea of the startup, the venture-backed startup, because before that, I thought that so you build the business, you build the product, you go and try sell it, you get the money, and then you so kind of iterate on that. So I had no idea so that there are people who willing you given the money for the potentially big idea, and you just like take this money and deliver your best to execute. So with that smart home technology, so I participated in one of the programs that I got like, okay, so there are VCs, there are startups, there is like all this like lean canvas and all these like frameworks that I can use. And that was the first time when I came to the Silicon Valley in 2013 and got to know the Silicon Valley itself, so the mecca of all the technology that I knew before. So everything like Texas Instruments and like all these names were just like a paradise for me. So I was like seeing that so those company created something that I can build on top of that. So here I can like cross the street and so in the Santa Clara and everything. So like you can like literally talk to these guys. Like that was like the another inspiring moment. So that's so that those are like gods, I would say, of the industry. They're not that distant, so you can be very
Mm,
close to them. You can talk to people so who work there, so who does something there. So that's like was another moment so that I like convinced myself that I want to be the founder of the startups in the technology era. And so that like startup in a smart home didn't even work well, but so that like definitions of all that inspiration so that I got like turned me to another idea, so slightly simpler, so from the like delivery perspective, but very like cool from the like market entry and the market penetration. So I invented smart wall clock. Actually, so my last name came from that startup. So I changed it because my real last name it's a very long and very complicated to pronounce and spell. So I invented Glance clock. So it's a word with the world first smart wall clock. So what it did, what it does, is a very beautifully designed wall clock with hands, with everything. So with the fabric face. So and it's connected to your account, like your Google Calendar, your notification center. So like whatever you use. And you can be busy working, doing something, and you look at the clock. If there is nothing to disturb you, it's just a clock. It's giving you the time. It's already giving you the value. But if there is something like your meeting is upcoming in 10 minutes, it's like blurring up, so all of fading up and appearing on the screen. So it's not interrupting you. But when you self-interrupt, you can get this information and self-adjust your like process. Like, okay, I need to wrap up because my meeting is coming. So that's the idea of the glanceability and non-intrusive way to deliver information. So what the foundation of that idea? So I get some venture funds. We also did the Indiegogo. We pre-sold 4,500 units. So like raised close to the 500,000 in these pre-orders. And over the course of the 6 years while I was running the company, so before my exit, so we sold over 10,000 units. So the product was still around after I exited. So we sold all the assets and ideas, so the everything, so to the large clock manufacturing company in Netherlands, and they ran the business for another like 6 years before they decided to shut down before like for their own reasons. So I still like get the emails, or like not the emails because I don't have that. So like the Facebook messages, like, oh, I have the problem. So with my glance clock, how I can fix it? Just, oh, I'm sorry. So you haven't it. So because the company shut down like 5 years ago. Like, yeah, that was like my first like real journey towards like the global entrepreneur and the founder. So like from the beginning of the idea, finding the venture funding, so, and then so deliver the product to the customers, all the customer support improvements, the next version, and then the exit. So that's like the first. And then I joined the construction space, and I believe you have specific questions about that. So to move towards the journey, so the tenor that I'm currently in.
yeah, this so like the passion towards solving problems. I could like see it all throughout the things. And just for people listening to set the context, the companies we are touching is like Sweat, which was the first company, then Glance Tech, then Anton worked at Mighty Buildings, and now at Buildroid. Uh, I'm just curious, like now since this is the third time, if you were to start today running a new company and idea, what would be the first 6 months playbook on finding opportunity, prototyping, hiring, everything?
Yeah, so the first months or even weeks that you have to spend if you want to try to step into this journey, don't be very attached to any idea that's will come to your mind, but be very specific in terms of how you want to prove that outside of your mind there is anybody else wants the same thing, so has the same problem, so that you think exist. Because like these 18 startups or 18 projects that so didn't work out were like failing for that specific reason. So I was thinking that I'm the brightest mind in the universe and I know everything how it should work. I will give you people new solutions. So go take it, don't thank me. And it didn't work. So because like the idea was too small in my own perspectives, I didn't talk to the customers. I didn't even like bother to go outside and show like, so here's my ideas on a napkin sketch. So that was wrong. So like I'm I admit, so I didn't read any book back then, so it was hard to find. So the connections were like very weak. Not right now. So right now you can like tap to any of the ideas like through LinkedIn and other social media. So back in like 25 years ago, like or like 20 years ago, that was very weak of so beginning of that. So the first thing that you need to do. So if you have an idea, so build a prototype as quick as possible and as close as possible to what you think will be the final product, and go outside and try to find your first customer. Yeah, so you don't need to like ask for money, ask for anything. So you at the first step, you try to find the what I call like makes sense. If the idea makes sense. If you see that's a several of the people, and it should be like so the mistake number like 2 or 1, don't talk to your mom, don't talk to your dad, don't talk to your friends. So they will always lie to you in a good way because they want to be nice to you and they want to support you. So go to a stranger on the bar. So go to a stranger on a like working space and say like, I believe so you are going to like this idea, and just like have this conversation. So try to understand if the person has the problem. So we'll like get so many like inspirations or how it's called like insights. So from those people. So the words they use, the position so they put their problem, etc. If you find that so something that you developed or you have in mind resonates with a few folks around, yeah, go build like a physical MVP. Like if it's the app, so if it's a piece of software, so right now it's easier. So go so pay $20 for cloud, and so like so start the vibe code in the weekend or maybe a 1 week of the so deep dive into that. So we'll help you to build the first MVP, and then you can start to advertise your product. So the mistake number 2, don't give it for free. So never give your product even at early stage for free. Like admitting, oh, it's not fully ready, so it looks ugly, it's buggy, whatever. Just lower the price. So because there is a like psychological addiction, no, not addiction, the how our brain is wired. So towards like giving for free, and so what kind of value it brings, and giving at least $1 for that. So if somebody pays you $1 for something that you built, they will be more honest to you if your product sucks, if you're a great idea or whatever. So the feedback so that they will give you so is more valuable than a person or so the customer that just try it for free. Do you like it? Yes, cool idea, amazing. So would you pay for that? No. So that means that's like just like the person want to be nice. So and the early you get the like paid validation, so that so your idea actually makes sense to like so outside of the small circle, so the better. And we can be at the week 2 or 3 at that journey, and you already kind of know so that so what you created makes sense or doesn't. So and then so there is the whole journey. So like you're doing the step by steps, you increase the funnel, you keep working on the features that people request, and so you prioritize them. You always need to talk to your customers, to somebody who pledged you $1, or who, like, maybe, so there is a like a person like, I like don't want you to be the customer, so but like I want to like spread the word about you. Okay, fine. So like, be so creative how you leverage your community, because it's like the greatest asset you have at the beginning. So your, even at glance clock, so when we launched, so obviously Indiegogo was at like the hit, so from 0 to 4,500 in like in a 2 weeks. So you cannot manage all the conversation at that pace. But then, so I realized that there are like lovers, haters, don't anything, so like don't cares. So another category of the customers, and you cannot focus on all of them. So you need to understand, like, so who are your like best customers, so who can be your ambassadors, who you will be the best like the representative, and so give you an honest feedback. I put a goal to select the best 100. So out of the whole letters, I selected the 100 people who were actively on social media. So they were nice. So they just like don't hate for the reason of hate. So if they like they didn't like something that was very constructive, and I spend more of the time like figuring out, so like so testing with their so new ideas or whatever with that. So whatever worked for them, so like 95% work for the remaining. So that focus helped me to serve the entire community that we built. So through more like narrowed focus on the specific customer needs. So that's like, you have to keep growing, but don't be so attached. Like, oh, I have like so this guy giving me always the hard time. So like no, so like so there are more people so who will like you. You just need to find it, and the faster you find it, so the better for your idea. Yeah, so that's like maybe like three advices, like move fast, so iterate fast, like don't talk to your so friends and peers, so they will like so give you the wrong so signals that may like move you in the wrong direction. So get the paid customers early, and yeah, if the idea doesn't work, so don't try it so hard. If you see enough signals, and better to like measure everything. It's not just like, oh, I spoke to one guy and I think so I'm on the right track. No, so talk to 10, talk to 100, talk to whatever makes sense for your idea. If it's a consumer facing app, so that technically, so all the whatever numbers, so 9 billion people in the world can use, like 100 should be at least the number that you get the feedback from. So if you're doing something very specific, for example, I'm a drummer, so and I want to specific something for the drummer, it's way less like cohort of people I can talk. I can limit myself to 10, for example, before I go to the next iteration. So it's up to your ideas to define this initial cohort of people, so to get the feedback. But definitely, so if one idea doesn't work, so don't stick to that. So try another one, especially in the beginning. So the earlier you start in, the more advantages you have. So because you have less liabilities, less life commitments, and etc. You're probably just like at the college or just like out of the college. Hopefully, so you're in a good position that your parents are still supporting you. So and you're not kicked out so to your own life in your own apartment. So you can afford a little bit more than so people like at my age, like so around 40 or the 50, when they have our like commitments, whatever, mortgage, cars, kids, schools, and everything. So you need to manage more, and every mistakes you make so cost you more. Just like look at the life timeline. If you're 20, go do that. So today you can do one thing, so in the month you can do another one. In a year, or maybe it's like so if you iterate every week, so you can test 25 ideas just 1 year, or to 52 ideas just 1 year. So that's the pace I would suggest you to do, like to find your like also the passion, inspiration, so the like and everything that will drive you so forward.
Amazing. Yeah. I also feel like the ramen profitable in those earlier years is easy because you live on basic needs. And once you get that, then you are putting all your energy back into the business. I'm curious to know, in your role of VP of Advanced Manufacturing and Automation at Mighty Buildings, how did you got knowledge about the construction industry and like how was your experience there and responsibilities?
Yeah, so to answer a little bit broader, my life mantra is to be open to opportunity. So I exited Glance Clock. The investors, my co-founders at Buildroid, Slava. So he just co-founded Mighty Buildings. So that would like happen so the same year pretty much. So when I exited, so he was an investor in Glance Clock. So he congratulated me and so asked like, what your next move? And I don't know, figuring out. Okay, yeah, I just started the company, you probably know. So how about you come and join? Okay, maybe I'm not ready for a new startup. So, but I got open to the opportunity to go. I said, why not? But I don't have anything to do on my plate. So you invited me, you're a cool guy. So you believe in me. Let's try. And then, so I hadn't started so as a VP right away. So because like I wanted to help my friend to grow his company. And then, so I spent a year so being kind of a remote, helping so to structure some technology things. Regardless that, so the Mighty Building was the construction, 3D printing construction company from the day one. So there were so many other things that weren't directly related to construction. So like the automation piece of parts. So I knew a lot of about manufacturing. So from my previous background, so I set up manufacturing for consumer electronic devices, for other things. So that helped. So I start setting up the system how to effectively produce the product so that the company is designed. So I also like love the product design, and so just like that's applicable to any trade. So the material that we designed at Mighty Building, so it should be the product. So it should have like the inputs, outputs, and so everything, regardless that it's like semi-liquid material that's secured by the UV light. So it's also like you look at that so from the customer perspective, the market perspective, the probably so everybody who hears that, if not, so you know this 8 or 9 blocks business model canvas. Like I introduced it to Mighty, so we passed through all the like internal and external products through that. So there was so many things to do, and then so I grew. So over the year, I grew towards like kind of a like head of automation or director of automation. I decided like, okay, so I like the company, so the culture, the everything. So I would like to join as a full time, and so that was the first title. And then suddenly, so I moved to the US in 2020. So in February, so to build the factory, and the COVID hit, and so the VP of construction, so who was hired there, he left. And Slava, who was the CEO back then, so he just like, okay, so you're the most trusted person, the most senior person in the US office right now. Now you're responsible for construction as well. Pretty much zero knowledge exactly about the construction. So like the way the architecture works, the permits, the building code, the material specs, all the processes. I just learned really fast because like I didn't have a choice like that. I treated Mighty Buildings as my own company as well. So that like was the initial agreement that I will be an entrepreneur within like so the startup environment. So I really put my blood, sweat, and tears and sleepless nights so towards that company, and I could not give up and say like, okay, good luck guys, figure out, I have my own piece. I said obviously yes to that opportunity, guys. I will help you as much as possible. That's how I started to learn constructions, through doing things, delivering first units, like optimizing. And my like wide background in the consumer electronics, consumer facing tech, so the manufacturing, etc., helps as well. So the way how we start building our first units, our buildings, that I introduced and taught so these construction workers how to create this like manufacturing mindset, how to understand so that whatever you do, it's not like finished until you understand that how the customer will experience that. All these things I just apply to that. So and we became just a better company. So that's why they like the variety of the background so in your founding team helps. So because you can like get different opinions on the same idea, different approaches. And so if you're open to everything and you know how to put these puzzles and the whole piece, so the product will be way more interesting. So compared to something like, so I know how it's built, so my dad built that way, I will build that way, and so I will just like do some small improvements to that, so because it's not inefficient. Yeah, so to be open to that. So that's how I step into the construction. Yeah, and I spent like 4 years. So being exactly on the field, so building the product, building the buildings, shipping them, so delivering to the customers, providing the customer support. So all this, currently I don't remember. So all the everything. So the building codes back then, because I was dealing with that. So all this like Title 24 for energy efficiency, California building code, Florida building code, Texas building codes, all of them I read, just understand like, so where we can be, what is like mandatory and what is optional, so we can improve on what's optional, so and innovate on that way, so while we stick to the what is defined, so and we cannot move that left and right. So yeah, that's like my step in an initial journey into the construction field.
Then, and I feel like for companies like Mighty Building, it's such a big complex problem you're solving. That so many reasons it couldn't work out. I was curious, like if someone is building something in that space, how could they increase the likelihood of success in building such kind of company? And what are the things they should not reinvent the wheel?
That's the good one. So construction is a very conservative industry. The less you disrupt it, or the less intrusive way to introduce your technology you figure out, the better. You will get a faster and better adoption to that. So what we learned hard at Mighty Buildings, that we wanted to disrupt the whole value chain. Here's a new material, here are the new methods with 3D printing and a prefabrication. So here's new methods also building houses, here is so the different appearance of them. So the entire value chain end to end was like, we tried to disrupt that. We were thinking that we are the smartest guys in the room, so to teach the whole construction industry how to build in the right way. So that was the very wrong assumption. So especially in the construction, so in like large industries like maybe automotive and like maybe like manufacturing logistics, so they exist for like years, sometimes like dozens of years or hundreds of years, and if there is a process that exists for that long and you are the only one thing that so tomorrow you will change the industry forever, so because you introduce your technology, hard truth, you're wrong. So because it's very hard to change the system by just moving one piece. So the whole industry, so the supply chain, so the approvals, permits, like building codes, everything should change towards being on the next level and then on the next level. So it can take years. And for startups, years means that. So because you will run out of money for sure. So you can run with like 3 to like 6 years. So just on the venture funding, you need to get the revenue earlier, like at least like in the first year for sure. Yeah. So don't take this mistake. So if you're really interested in construction industry, try to find so the most precious problem so that exists and the most non-intrusive way to introduce the change. So in this case, you have more like magnitude of the success, rather than like I will reinvent everything so and show you how it should be. Like in my experience, it's never worked. So the industry is very resistive to change.
That's a great piece of advice. For your current company, take us back to the early days. How was it like, and what got you to build this idea?
Buildroid, I just left Mighty Buildings because the company became like very operational, and I like love to innovate things and improve. So I just like, okay, guys, you're great. And company is still around, so so the technology is still utilized and they deliver in homes. Yeah, I just decided that okay, I put enough of myself into the company. I want to do something else. And there was like a gap, maybe 5 months, when I was like trying these things, that things, etc. So, and then CES 2025 came, and lots of humanoid robots were introduced, and I was like, is it like real? So I saw it in a Star the like Wars movie and some of the early Boston Dynamics. It's like big bulky machines like doing the backflips, and it's like, okay, cool, so nice tech, so one day maybe. And that day just happened like out of the blue. So like few weeks before were nothing, and today we're like all the news around were about the humanoids. And I got a call from Slava, who is my co-founder and CEO at Buildroid, and just like, let's bring humanoids to construction. And that was the initial idea. So how we started Buildroid, because we believed from the day one. So when we saw the humanoids can do something meaningful, like at least on the first videos and trials, that we can help construction industry to be more efficient on site by changing the means, like instead of the human labor, so there will be robotic labor, without changing the materials, without changing the tools, without changing the processes. You just change the one like physical like body that move things around to another physical body that will do the same. So that was the initial idea, and so that got the initial like push towards like start exploring the space. We quickly realized that so the humanoids at very early stage, like we visited pretty much every company that I could reach out. So across the China, Europe, US, I tried to talk to everyone, and so from everybody with whom I spoke, when I shared my use case, I want to bring the humanoids to the to the construction. They were like one blinking and for a few seconds, and then we are not ready for that. So maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10 years, maybe the most optimistic answer was like in the 3 years. And I just, okay, maybe it's too early for humanoids. But still, the idea so that we want to bring different form of like different means of construction to the construction site, to the job site, and that should be the robots. So like still today as a like foundation of the company. So we found that there were and so still are multiple companies who are doing this single purpose, what we call them single purpose construction robots. Like guys like Canvas, Akibo, like and others, there are like many of the vendors of them, so like not many but enough, so who are doing already meaningful work with their machines on site. And what we found, so that construction companies, so those who are aware about that, they still like struggle to scale up. So if you see the perfect use case for that machine, like for painting, for example, so you test it in your test bed or like in a pilot, you love it, there is no still mass adoption. So it's maybe one GC with the one robot, so another GC with another robot. So there is nothing like IOF fleet of robots, like maybe 10, so they're working across my like 10 construction site doing the great things. There's no this conversation currently, and that's was like the second aha moment. So like, okay, here we can bring the value with our platform to help to accelerate the scaling and deployment of these robots, so to the job sites. So that's like what we're doing and what we focus right now.
Good. So, what's the main challenge from like when a contractor gets a pilot robot on a project, then it doesn't scale across multiple projects?
So the main issue that we found is that it's hard to scale, like wrap up your mind around the like idea of the whole project. Like for example, if I show you a piece of the wallpaper like this, like maybe a couple of inch by couple inch, and put it on a white wall and ask you, how do you think so that pattern will fit this room or don't? So you will have a hard time to imagine how all this pattern will map up to entire walls, so which is like 10 times or 100 times larger, so that piece. So that's kind of an analogy so I can give. So that when you see that the robot performs on a small area, like a one room or maybe in a one floor, so it's not just that, because the construction companies or any companies, so they heavily rely on the business processes. And the more mature the business processes, the more stable is business. So because you know how the point, so how the like piece move from a point A to point B, every so all your organization knows that, so you know the outcome, you can manage that. So that's where the managers come to Candy, so like to manage these processes and scale them up. So here now you have a one piece of technology that did a great job on a one piece of wall. So how you can map it out, and maybe the robotic companies who are doing that, they 100% have an answer. So, but that answer should be incepted, so should appear in your client mind. So they just like, now I see how my hundreds project across the whole the US will benefit from the technology. So like in the clear details. So how to deliver them, how to remove them, so how to move around, how to train people, how to retain these operators, how to maintain these machines. it's like much broader so scope of work than just like delivering the work. So and so that struggle. So we like helping so the companies, the construction company GCs to overcome through the simulation. So because we can picture that. So and we not just picture that in a hypothetical, so virtual environment. We take their building information model, so the CAD model of their upcoming construction site, and we converted it to simulation. And the simulation, so with the robots, they either and tested already, or they considering to buy, showing, moving around. Here it can pass. Here it blocks. If they build the wall in front of them, it cannot so move. So it should be built from the other side. It's the whole game plan. It's the whole like Gantt chart of the operations for every robot, for every type of robot that we deliver to our clients. And that's what they like. So because they don't need to mobilize resources on site that disrupt the process and delay the schedule because like they face some of the issue with the delivery. So now they behind the schedule and need to pick up. So none of this exists if you sit in front of your like laptop and so just run in simulation, or the metrics are wrong. So only the 80% of the wall can be covered or whatever number. I'm not satisfied. So you talk to your like robot provider and so ask like, so what we can change. Oh, we can provide you a different model. So let's simulate that. Oh, now with the two more models of the larger one and the smaller one, we can cover like 99% of the wall. So and the time frame is that like you just like making sense of this deployment without the touch on the actual construction operation. And then you go there and just say like, here's the game plan. Let's execute that. So that's like what we do at Buildroid.
It's such a interesting finding and niche. Like we do traditional construction simulation, but now with this new robots, every provider will have their own like assembly and was it so having a platform where different providers, different model, and they can visualize it with the simulation, and the decision makers could have an ROI that okay, labor approach versus this. Okay, so the friction to use it at multiple sites or use it on a bigger project is like lesser because they can make more
Yeah,
like
exactly.
insightful decision.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
If you, let's say, if a robotics provider like proved the value and ROI on a project, like, do you think it's like more of a mindset or issues in the industry to have like wide scale adoption? Other objections a typical construction company have?
No, so we didn't face anything like that. So like the construction company, so their main trade is build. So they want to build fast, they want to build with the best quality and want to like build more. So and if there is a like different way of doing that, so they would like to do that. So but on the other hand, so going to the initial like value that they deliver to the market, they need to build. So they cannot stop the entire operation and rethink so how their company will operate. So that's why the most innovative companies like Suffolk, Heston Phelps, like Obayashi, Kajima, so like from different part of the world. So they setting up the test labs to test something that will come to their construction site years after. So they cannot afford to stop everything today, figure out so the better way, and then come back. So the smaller GCs could just like emerge on the market, so they can start their business differently. But so this large company who's actually the building the world around us, so all these skyscrapers, large facilities, etc., they don't build by the small GC. So the GC is sort of like guys like you and me, like building our single family home. And yeah, so these big GCs just need a like better solutions, so more stable solutions to try to test, to validate, and then so implement into the business.
Looking back, what has been the most challenging thing build Buildroid and one thing you are most proud of?
So the most challenging thing I think for every startup is to figure out so the solution that fits the problem that exists on the market. So you can build amazing things, beautiful things, but if nobody uses them, it's worthless. So like you don't need to do that. So that was the hard thing, so to understand like so what is the like main struggle of this GCs and construction companies, and what kind of value we can bring to them. Yeah, so that's the another one. So what we're proud of I think so. We like in a very short time, so we figure out so the like application and the use case, and also build the first prototype. Like almost in like 6 months. So with very limited funding, so with very lean team, towards the point where like large companies so like excited of what we build and then want to talk to us and want to take our technology and so put in the commercial pilots and etc. So that's like the main one.
Okay. To wrap up the interview, I have like a few rapid fire questions, which you have like 5 seconds to answer and you gotta keep it super
Okay,
brief.
let's try.
Your favorite restaurant,
My favorite restaurant, like Mexican steakhouse, any type.
a city or country which is in your travel bucket list,
I want to go to Portugal, so for Nadare, so for giant waves.
any book which made a big impact in your life,
The Hard Things About Hard Things by Andrew Gross. I don't remember that, but you can Google.
Mark
Oh,
Anderson.
Mark
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Andreessen. Mark Andreessen, yes.
What would you do differently if you were talking to your 18-year-old self?
Nothing. Yeah, like no. So I would tell myself, so build your network early, and so don't hesitate to use it to like
Your fa
to build on top of that.
your favorite movie,
I love Inception
your role model.
with Leo DiCaprio. Role model. It used to be Steve Jobs, but now it's hard to tell. But still inspired by his like vision and approach. So the way he looked at things.
Yeah, 3 words your co-founder would describe you as.
Technical, details oriented, and I don't know, fun.
Thanks a lot, Anton, for being on the show. Anything you'd like to end on a closing note?
Like check out Buildroid. So find me on LinkedIn. So if you guys want to connect, that would be great. So love talking. So thank you for having me on the show. So like it was a pleasure to share my story and hope you guys enjoyed it.
It was a pleasure hosting you too.